Playing Pokemon Mystery Dungeon Rescue Team DX is, in many ways, exactly like saying its full name aloud. It starts off strong with the Pokemon you know and love, then quickly devolves into something very strange that goes on for far too long. Granted, there are plenty of reasons to adore developer Spike Chunsoft's remake of the Game Boy Advance's Red Rescue Team and Blue Rescue Team from 2005, like its memorable characters and unique premise, for example. But the guts of this roguelike dungeon crawler are sometimes hard to bear. Rather than serving as a nostalgic remake that heightens your love for your favorite pocket monsters, Rescue Team DX tests the limits of your commitment to the series with monotonous dungeon crawling, predictable combat encounters, and a grind that can put you to sleep faster than a blast to the face from Butterfree sleep powder. You take your favorite Pokemon into procedurally generated but samey dungeons filled with loot, traps, violent wild Pokemon, and lost souls in need of rescue. You also recruit new Pokemon to your case by defeating them in battle or earning their respect by completing missions, which is a huge motivator to continue the grind even when it's at its most irritating. In between dungeon delving, you'll interact with vendors in Pokemon Square, manage and improve your Pokemon roster, and talk to Rescue Team's likable cast of characters. Those parts make up some of the adventure's most memorable moments. Rescue Team DX is a vast improvement over the original in a few ways. The art style, for example, has been completely reimagined to look like an awesome Pokemon Field oil painting, which is without a doubt the most notable upgrade. Even on the big screen, roaming around Pokemon Square and going dungeon delving rarely looks like something meant for a portable device. Other quality of life changes like auto-saving, auto mode for exploration, and expanding your maximum team size from 4 to 8 make the journey through the often dull business of dungeon exploration much more interesting this time. The problem is, this facelift does little to address Rescue Team DX's biggest issue. The things you spend most of your time doing just aren't that fun. Despite being procedurally generated, each dungeon is basically a carbon copy of the last, with tight hallways connecting to boxy rooms and enemies stalking each area. After the first hour, you'll have experienced more or less all of that these tedious treks have to offer, but will still be subjected to dozens of hours more, practically uninterrupted. Combat while exploring these dungeons is a common and lifeless affair. The familiar turn-based combat system has been greatly simplified and now feels decidedly low stakes. While you could decide which move to use one by one, that slows combat down to a crawl. It's much easier to simply hold down the A button and let your Pokemon automatically choose the best move for you. After a couple of seconds, enemies die and you continue exploring. At least combat's almost always brief. When you're in between dungeons, there isn't a whole lot else to do. All the other optional activities usually only take a few seconds each before it's right back to a variation of the same dungeon you just left. Training your Pokemon at the dojo is an easy way to level up your squad and make yourself more lethal in dungeons, but guess what? The dojo is basically just another dungeon. Thankfully, there is a worthwhile payoff for the grind. You'll meet a memorable cast of talkative Poke-friends, like Gengar, who plays the incompetent heel, and an all-knowing Alakazam who serves as mentor to your fledgling rescue team. While the plot does make some odd turns and often takes far too long to get where it's going, reaching each milestone manages to make the worst aspects of combat and exploration a lot more tolerable. Another bright spot is the endgame, since much of the best content is locked behind the elusive credits, like more challenging dungeons and mysteries. Reaching the endgame will allow you to evolve Pokemon and add legendary Pokemon to your roster too. But of course, experiencing those surprises requires even more dungeon crawling, which doesn't improve after the credits. Pokemon Mystery Dungeon Rescue Team DX is a remake that feels like putting a band-aid on a flawed game that badly needed major surgery instead. While the story and presentation have been drastically improved with fun characters and an impressive new art style, its core is still painfully dull. Key areas like dungeon crawling and combat are as monotonous and repetitive as ever, leaving Rescue Team DX a truly unremarkable, grindy experience. For more, check out our explainer on the gameplay and new features of Rescue Team DX, or these iconic Pokemon recreated in dreams. And for everything else, stick with IGN.